Hola. It's my great pleasure to welcome you all to Casa Latina. First of all, quiero reconocer a las trabajadoras del hogar. Todo esto ha sido para ustedes y sin ustedes no se podría haber logrado. So a couple of people who should be acknowledged are David Rolfe and Ai-jen Poo. Respectively, they are the leaders of SEIU 775 and the National Domestic Workers Alliance. And I'm calling them out because they are the two people who really got the ball rolling on this initiative. We could not have done this without their support and their organizations. And of course, without the work and the brilliance of everyone in this room and many more who aren't here today. This is a new model of organizing workers, and many people are taking notice of what we have accomplished here. I also want to acknowledge and thank our friends at Working Washington for their tireless efforts. And their expertise. Here at Casa Latina, I have incredible co-workers who have been organizing domestic workers for many years and who deserve recognition. Veronique Fatkinelli. She's actually in Thailand right now on vacation with her family, very well deserved. Silvia Gonzalez, who's still... Where's Silvia? There you are. Silvia, who still identifies as a domestic worker in addition to working on our staff, and also my amazing co-worker, Araceli Hernandez, who's been a great advisor to this campaign. At Casa Latina, we build solidarity among workers and also with employers. We've been joined in this campaign by high road employers, individuals, and also companies like the Nanny Network and April Lanes. These are companies that are led by women, former nannies themselves. A key partner also has been Hand in Hand. They are organizers. They are organizers who educate and organize employers with the message that their home is someone's workplace. We live in a time when immigrant communities, working people, and organized labor are under attack by a despotic federal government. And this makes the Domestic Worker Bill of Rights that much more important. I am proud to live in a city that is the first to enact such a measure. And we know this is only the beginning. We will continue working with our standards board and with domestic workers to achieve many more of the benefits that workers are asking for. I appreciate that we have elected representatives and their staff who have the vision and who get things done. And with that, I hand it off to Mayor Jenny Durkan.
This is so exciting, right?
Yay!
Yes. You know, we are standing here together because we all believe in a very simple but powerful idea. And that is building economic opportunity means protecting all workers. And to protect them, you have to have fair rights and fair wages. You know, for decades in Seattle, our domestic workers, who are usually women and disproportionately are immigrants and people of color, have been marginalized and left without very many worker protections. When I was running for office, I will tell you one of the most impactful meetings is with some of these women who are here today. And listening to the work they do day in, day out. They are some of the hardest working, caring people I've ever had the privilege of meeting. So thank you all for all the work you do. know, they also, unfortunately, are some of the most vulnerable. And in our city, because they didn't have the protections, even those basic rights that we would take for granted, a living wage, breaks, dignity, respect, they've been denied. And unless the city comes together to say we as a city are going to demand more and require more and make sure that every person can go to work hard, and know they'll be treated fairly. And that's what this is all about. And I will tell you, at various times people ask and they say, well, why are you giving special rights? It is not special rights. All people want are the basic rights to which they are deserving, and that's what they get through this bill, so thank you. You know, we're the city that led with $15 an hour minimum wage to stand up for workers' rights and that minimum threshold on what people deserve as workers. That is what this is a continuation of, is to make sure that we as a city stand for those basic fundamental rights. But make no mistake about it, this is the floor. This is not the ceiling. And there's a few people I want to thank in particular. First, I want to thank all those domestic workers who every day are working so hard and so tirelessly, doing such hard work that is so fundamental to the families they work for, to their own families, and who sometimes are the most overlooked, the first exploited. To you, I want to thank you for what you do and for you willing to stand up together to say no más. No más. I also want to thank Marcos and Casa Latina. Not just, not just for hosting us here today, but for every day. Every day you're housing a concept of justice which should live on in this community. So thank you very much. You know, I also want to thank my friend David Rolfe and SEIU, who have been so forward-leaning. The National Domestic Workers Alliance. The Seattle Nanny Network. Working Washington Again. I want to thank my own Office of Labor Standards, who have worked really hard to get this work done. Really great work. And Adrian from my office has been remarkable, just really. But there's another person who you're going to hear from now who I think deserves special recognition, because during the campaign I knew this is something that we had to do as quickly as possible. And I met with people, we worked on it, we promised, Adrian had thought about it, but it wouldn't have happened first without the people who were committed, the domestic workers and those people I just talked about, but without Councilmember Teresa Mosqueda, who has been you got to know, this woman is an incredible leader. She is an incredible leader. It is really hard sometimes these days, in particular, to find elected leaders who are that combination of both bold and thoughtful. She's the real deal. She got, not just on this issue, but every issue, you will see that what compels her most is justice. What is the right thing to do? And I can't tell you, every time we talk, she starts from that principle of what is the right thing to do and how do we get it done? And in this one, I have no mistake about it. It would not have gotten done without the people here and the people who, the blood, sweat, and tears of the domestic workers. But the champion was Teresa Mosqueda. So thank you so much.
Wow, thank you. Aquí estamos. Vamos a ganar, gente. Están ganando. Here we are. We are about to win. We are winning, and as you heard, this is just the beginning. I want to acknowledge all of the workers who are in this room, whose work has made this possible. If you have come to a listening session, the 4 listening sessions, and 8 community meetings as a hiring entity or as a domestic worker, as an organization, a union, an advocate, raise your hand. This is your work. You have all made this possible. Every single word that's written here, every policy concept, every promise on the horizon, every principle and value that we live every day is coming to life in this piece of legislation because of you. It's folks like Casa Latina, Working Washington, SEIU 775, National Domestic Workers Alliance, We Dream in Black Coalition. And it bears repeating that this is a collaborative effort that truly came together because high road employers knew that we could do better in this industry. We want to thank Seattle Nanny Network, Hand in Hand, April Lane, so many individuals, Emma and Belmar here, Jessica and Teresa, thank you guys for coming to the table, for making sure that we're lifting workers out of the gray market, that we're applying good labor standards that you've already put in your practice into law. I want to thank folks like, yeah, that's... And this work, of course, would not be possible without the, quite frankly, decades of work of national advocates who have been calling for us to pass a domestic workers' Bill of Rights. Thank you to the National Employment Law Project. Thank you. Thank you to Moms Rising, to Center for American Progress, to 21 Progress, and again, the National Domestic Workers Alliance, who's here with us today. Their national friends are in the back. Thank you guys so much. And it bears repeating what the mayor said. This is after decades of exclusion, and quite frankly, intentional exclusion from federal and state laws. Exclusion because many of the domestic workers are women and people of color and immigrants. Well, look what happens when we get a woman mayor and a supermajority council of women and people of color into office. We bring our lived experience and we change policy. So a huge amount of appreciation for the mayor, for her leadership on this, for her incredible staff, Adrienne, for the Office of Labor Standards, Karina's here, for the Office of Civil Rights, for my incredible staff. Thank you to Faride and Sejal and Aretha and Michael, who are not here with us, who put a lot of work into this. This has been decades in the making. It truly has. And as I said before at the bill passage, this is quite an honor to be able to hold your hand as we take this policy over the finish line and to recognize that this is just the first step. Because quite frankly, we're applauding the ability to have every worker earn the basic minimum wage. We're talking about extending basic rest break and meal protections that every other worker already gets. These are common sense policies that we have had to wait decades to get to this point, but we will celebrate the fact that this is a first step. We will celebrate the fact that your passports and your visas can no longer be withheld. We will celebrate the fact that we no longer have to fear wage theft. We will celebrate the fact that you now have a seat at the table with the Domestic Workers Labor Standards Board. That is what it looks like to lift up our voice. That is what it looks like to create policy together. This is what it looks like to protect the most vulnerable in this time, in this era, under this federal administration. This is the beginning of what we will do to lift up the workers and people of color to fight for rights and expand the protections we've already been so proud to pass here in Seattle. This would not be possible without all of your work. So, un aplauso por ustedes. Gracias por todo. Gracias por todo lo que hacen hoy. Y sí se puede. 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 Sí se puede.
All right, we're going to make this real. I just also want to say, you know, people are like, oh, keep the children quiet. This is for the children. You be that loud if you want. Everyone squeeze in, come on.
Watch it. Make sure it happens.
That's right. So, for those who haven't been here before, I signed the name with a bunch of different pens so that there won't be enough pens, but people who have worked hard can actually have a pen that was used to sign this legislation.
La primera letra.
The power of the pen is what she's saying. Picture out there. Seeing no questions, this is the best legislation ever. All right, let's go take pictures then.